Than your average podcast, sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it.
Well, how do you define it? Because you remember the t-shirt I had on last week was BAME with a big red cross. Because once you start to lump all the others, right? Once you lump, you got white and then you got all the others. And once you got that, you're going back to the world of coloured people.
But black, you define, no, you define black. How do you define white?
Hashtag no jokes.
You know,
but by a diversity of thought.
Podcast, sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all...
When you're sitting down in your home with children, right? And you hear that word, and there is no protection. You can't just say there's a warning. The fact that you have to say that, to use the N-word, is a big mistake. So whoever, that line of people, whoever made those decisions, should actually be sacked. We can't have that word, right, and have conflicting messages about how we use that word. We have to decide that's unnecessary, that's unacceptable, that's derogatory, that's all of those wrong things. Then, when we hear that word, as a community, we can jump on. You see, like the Jewish community, they all jumped on, they were all up in arms, 48 hours, they were shutting down. But when people have been hitting our community, being just racist to our community, being very derogatory to our community, no one jumps up and says anything. There is no shutdown. So what we have to do is be able to say, actually, you don't get to do that, because when you do that, we do this.
In the UK, they've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw. Bringing us together. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
For me. Do you remember where you were? And were you children of an age that you could be scared?
Oh, absolutely. At the time when all that news was happening, we were very worried, because that just showed us that some of the things that we think don't happen in England happens. And we always look to America and say, well, that's in America, that wouldn't actually happen here. And at that time, that's when we started to realise that actually it will happen here, it can happen here. So that was a very scary time. And then everything that transpired out of it was just so kind of devastating to know that this is what you do, this is what you did. You killed a man, and therefore, so much the reaction to it was a turning point for the community.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a word.
For years, decades, the police have refused to deal with their institutionalized racism. For years, they've refused to deal with it. So how can my relationship with you improve if you're not willing to make any changes? It's like any relationship. If you're falling out, you and Mrs. Nestor are falling out, you're going to have a conversation and say, I don't like it when you do this. Okay, I'll try and improve myself. And I know you have to say that a lot, right? The police have for decades been unwilling to change, even to recognize their racism, even to recognize the way they deal with black people or people of color. They refuse to acknowledge that they need better training in that regard.
They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news, Sundays 1 to 2. And you can chime in if you've got something to say. From the 3 best comedians in the UK, they've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw. Bringing us together. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Good Morning, good afternoon to you. I hear that noise in my sleep, you know. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Hashtag No Joke. It's coming together, right, through difficult circumstances and difficult times. I've wanted to do one of these for years. Curtis phoned me one day and said, "You've been asking me for years." We phoned Angie and here we are. Got to say thank you very much to travel counsellors, particularly Jill, for their sponsorship. Please follow her, like her page. That's another way that you can support us to carry on with these things. Please do that. I guess, you know, I know that people are not really looking to fly at the minute, but when you are, then give the lady a chance. And also thank you to another sponsor who's come on board for the next 4 episodes, Island Flavor. Appreciate what they do because I eat their food every week and I don't have to eat the vegan food that my wife has given me. That's when I thought my taste was going. So they deliver to South and East London, and please give them a go as well. Let's introduce Angie Lamar, the A in the ACE team. How are you, Angie?
Hey, Eddie, how are you?
It's one of those days.
I hear it's going to be a hot one, so I've got the fan ready.
Yeah, we need Sizzler. Just one of those days. Listen, Angie, it has, isn't it? You don't sleep. I was on the phone to Robbie G till about 1 o'clock, and you were still messaging. There's some interesting subjects in a very quiet week of news, Angie.
Of course.
Curtis is, I can't say the C in the ACE team because that sounds rude, doesn't it? We are talking about rude words today, but maybe not that one. How are you, Curtis?
I'm very well, Eddie. Sun is shining in South London. I can report live. The sun is shining, the weather is good.
Yes, sir. The Don is here.
The Don is here. The Don Dada is here.
I love it.
So women can't see me staring.
Yeah, listen.
You got near already.
A few car crashes around here in one step because I'm like, how do you... Anyway, we're going to come to that. We've got some interesting subjects on the show today. Education is something that we promised we'd talk about. Why are so many black kids being excluded from schools? We'll be talking about the importance of an emoji and why I got pulled up this week for not having a black emoji. We'll talk about why there are so many single black women. It's a subject that Curtis and I cannot wait to get into.
Okay.
And we got some other changes to the show. It's only an hour. Please like, comment, share. The boss comes on every 20 minutes to put us back in our place. I think it's difficult, isn't it, guys? Notwithstanding, Angie, we had a very interesting conversation about how much news we should actually have and how many of the issues that directly affect people of color we should be putting in there. This story has just come at a time which kind of, it fits both, I think, this story. Certainly, you know, we joked last week about me losing my job because of this podcast. We're not too far wrong. I mean, this has been the single most difficult week I've had in the nigh on 18 years I've been at the corporation. We're not going to lie about that. And I have a letter that I will be posting to the corporation tomorrow and live. But let's start with a king, shall we? With a leader of peoples. We're talking about the N-word. It was used in a BBC bulletin. It was broadcast at 10:30. It's been bleeped out now. It was about a healthcare worker who'd been attacked. The thought was it would a hit and run. And the reason I'm telling you the story is the way the story has been reported has got in the way of the story. So it's important that I tell you this story. They interviewed, they discovered through their journalism that it was actually a racial attack. And they, because the victim wanted them to, apparently, the BBC decided to use the N-word in its entirety. Now, apart from the fact that it's never been said to me without the effing being put in front of it, and I interested enough to know whether or not they would have said the effing, I have been able to get the Mayor of London, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner in incredibly difficult times, and I have failed to get the people at the BBC who have made the decision to do it, to have made the decision to stand by it, who have received 18,600 complaints to date. I failed to get one single person at the BBC in a position of power to say why, to have the discussion, which for me is the ultimate disrespect. Here is a young man at One Extra who was at One Extra called Sideman. Here's how he reacted to it.
I've thought long and hard about what I'm about to say and what it means, and on this occasion I just don't think that I can look the other way. We live in a world that needs to change, systems that need to change, organizations that need to change. And as a person that believes that change can happen and wanting change to happen, I understand transition. I understand it's not something that's going to happen overnight, that there will need to be a lot of learning and unlearning and tearing down of certain building blocks of our society that took a long time to build up. So I'm okay with process. I'm okay with waiting within reason for certain things to change. But the BBC sanctioning the N-word being said on national television by a white person is something that I can't rock with. This is an error in judgment where I can't just smile with you through the process and act like everything is okay. I'm happy working with organizations until we all get it right, but this feels like more than getting it wrong. The action and the defense of the action feels like a slap in the face of our community. That's why, effective immediately, I'm leaving my job as a radio broadcaster for BBC One Extra. With no apology, I just don't feel comfortable being aligned with the organization. I've loved my time there. I've got to work with some amazing people and made some lifelong friends and had great opportunities. But money and opportunity doesn't outweigh the dissatisfaction that I feel with this situation. This is wild to me, especially in the current social climate, and I can't make any sense of it no matter how much I think about it. So I think it's time that I left.
Wow.
So, first of all, there were 3 people who gave testimonies that, if I'm honest with you, shook me to my core. One was John Boyega, and we were like, wow, he's destroyed his film career, hasn't he? But wow. Ashley was dealing with something really deep, and it was painful to watch his wife watch him go through it. And then there was this guy, Sideman. I had him on my show. He beautifully and eloquently described the trauma that people are going through. And my heart, to see his trauma then, and then for the BBC to broadcast that in the middle of the most sensitive racial time that I've known in my lifetime, he's a king. Angie, your thoughts, please.
You know, I have to say, I was so surprised and blown away by, you know, what Sideman has done, and just inspired really, because we don't see that enough, that new age stand up, I'm not taking this anymore. And you said that they've bleeped out the N-word now on the site. Is that now bleeped
on the iPlayer? Yeah, if you go to BBC.
Well, it shouldn't actually. Well, they should stick with it. If they believe what they feel, they shouldn't bleep it out. They should stick with it then. Why are you bleeping it now? And I think they shouldn't have let Sideman go. They should make the decisions at the BBC. So I really hope he doesn't have to. I don't want him to go. I want him to stand down.
Gone, Angie, he's gone.
I understand that he's gone. And I understand that as a community, we all need to get behind him. We need to see the people at the BBC who are supposed to be standing up for him, the people who are supposed to be speaking on his behalf. He shouldn't just take the fall by himself and go, and they carry on as normal. That wouldn't be acceptable.
Curtis, you are a performer. You are the leading comedian of your type, and you are struggling because you can't get a gig, because nobody can get a gig. What does it say about a person in these traumatic economic times who goes, I don't care about the hit, I just don't want to be here?
Angie said, I'm so proud of this guy. In a time I thought integrity had kind of died away, especially for black people standing up for something. As my father said, you stand for something or you fall for anything. And I'm so proud of him. The decision he made is within all of those people you've mentioned, from John Boyega, Ashley Waters, there's a pain that we talked about, why this show was designed, why this show came about. It's about that pain. And to compound it with allowing the N-word in this time to be aired on TV, it's such a slap in the face. And much less you're working for the organization that's doing it and nobody's willing to have a conversation about it. If somebody has stepped up and said, this is why we did, right? And the family wanted it that way. I've never heard of a TV company allowing the family to dictate how the show is run. I've never heard of it. You know, who wants to be a millionaire? The family want the answers to the question before the question's posed. It's not going to happen. You have a policy. You have a policy on how to deal with words like that. And no family can tell you. And remember, the family's in pain. They got their own little emotions going on. They're not the ones you go to at that particular.
Curtis, I'm going to take you out of the stream. I'm going to take you out of the stream. You're sticking. I'm going to take you out of... 1 second, Curtis. I'm going to take you out of the stream, and then I'm going to add you back in because you're sticking really, really badly. And I just think that what we're talking about here is... So we'll just take you out of the stream. You know,
Eddie,
for me, it's not the word, you know. I'm past that. I think that I work in news, so I know difficult decisions are made that are subjective, and I trust that the people at the BBC make them for the best intention, even though they might be wrong. But you won't have the C word, the F word, the Y word, the P word. Why? How does that? They're telling me it was needed to emphasize the point. We've talked about it today. We haven't used it.
You know, the thing is, we got a problem with the N-word, okay? And we have mixed reactions to the N-word within our community. Outside of the community, there's just a no-go area. It's no-go. You are not allowed to use it outside of the Black community. If the Black community are using it in song or in the way they talk to each other, some may say they're reclaiming the word. I don't understand. That wasn't a word that was given to us to say that we could reclaim. It was used against us. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if that be the history of the word, regardless how the community is using it, you should take that into consideration. And I cannot believe that a news item, and people may say, yeah, but you use it in your word or whatever, irrelevant. That was a poor decision. And why does a Black family need to hear that word, to hear the emphasis? We can look on the man's...
It can't have been for me. Because I know what the word means. The emphasis and the effect can't have been for me, Anne. It can't, because I know what it means.
We know what it means, and it still hurts when you don't even say it. So why do we need to hear it in front of young children who go,
but I'm past that.
That's what they call it. I know we're past that. I know we're past that.
Had to explain why he drove 60 miles to test his eyesight with his child in the car. We waited for him to give that in the Rose Garden, and all of us at BBC, wherever, we all thought he owed us an explanation. I'm interested in why the BBC hierarchy do not believe
because they've not got the value. There's no worth there. When people don't respect you and you've got no worth, they will treat you like that. You might pull in people to have hierarchy and go, you speak on that diversity, you speak on that. But really, you're just doing games because no one's standing up for us right now. Where are they? Because we're not worth it. We have no value. We pay our license every month or whatever. I don't even know if I need my BBC license right now, because it's disappointing to know that, yeah, we said it. And we take the Sideman's resignation and go, we wish him all the best. What? They should be saying, oh, no, you ain't going. We're going to have to sort this out. That's the only reaction I was expecting.
Curtis, hopefully we'll cut you in better quality. I'm sorry about that, Curtis. It was just sticking. And I really wanted to represent your views better than that.
Curtis, that for me. I've repositioned myself within the cupboard upstairs.
Yeah, which is where you spent most of your early years, apparently. So
we've been living in the closet.
In terms, I think that there is a point that Angie's make about working together, about being respected. I don't know. Sometimes we wait for one type of person to speak on one issue. This one strikes me as something that people should be worried about? Do you think in a bulletin the Y word, the C word, the F word, or the P word would have been acceptable?
Never, and it never would have been allowed to be uttered. It just wouldn't have. That's the power. As we talk about economics and the value of black people, and as you all know, there are black people who don't have an issue with the N word, who have no problem with it being aired, and that is about how we, as people, have devalued our own worth through the years.
I get that, but let me ask you one question, because this was prompted by Sideman, and Sideman says in there the N word uttered by a white person. Does that mean anything to you, Curtis?
Not to me at all. Not to me at all. Although it obviously does to him, but he's a younger generation. I don't care where the word's coming from. I still find it repugnant. You know, every time I hear the word, I think of people being whipped and beaten and broken down, and that was the word used to do it. So every time I hear that word, my back goes up, my shoulders get tight, and it cringe. I just don't like it, whether it's in music, whether it's industry. I don't like the word, but that's a personal thing for me. Yeah. But another generation washing the word, they shower in the word, they use it as a greeting, you know, what's up, how you doing, this is the way I'm. I don't see it as ownership. I find it offensive, you know.
And least we forget. Why can't we forget our history with words like that? Least we forget and be reminded what happened and what is associated with those words. Least we forget, so that when people utter it, they know, oh no, you can't do that to that community. That's my strongest point there. And if we were putting that in our community now, they wouldn't be able to do it, because they'll say, you know, if you say that, they're going to come down heavy on us, and we must come down heavy on us. If anything were to happen to you, Eddie, we'd all have to rise up.
Yeah, I don't think so. Which is why I'm writing the letter, because there's bigger people than me. We're not calling names there, because I don't want to do that. I will never.
Did I call a name? I'm saying if talking about me. Now listen, somebody tweeted something yesterday on Twitter about you, okay? And the whole Twitter just went mad to that person, because they were trying to call you out, saying you've not said anything about this, and everybody knows you've said something about it. You've done it here, you've done it in your radio show. So when I say rise up for you, that means we don't let this happen quietly, because no other race is doing that.
Thank you.
But to Sideman and Eddie, it's important for people in those positions to make a kind of statement, to say something, because forever we feel like you're alone, we're alone. It's only us feeling this. And once we've got this access to this social media, we realize everybody's feeling something. Everybody's reacting. Sometimes something happened to you, you think, oh, that must just be me. It must be only me that gets treated that way when I walk into a shop. It must be only. But the reality is, it is happening to everybody way too often. And unless we talk and have a conversation with each other, you're left isolated. You know, Sideman has made a powerful stand there, powerful stand, and I'm so in support of him and what he's actually done. But what needs to happen now is people ahead of him, bigger people than him, need to have a conversation with him and work out why he's so upset, why he feels they've let him down. That needs to be the conversation. Whether he goes back to work or not, that should be his decision. So yeah,
that's why we say that's why we say Black Lives Matter, because we have to pull it out aside and go, we matter too. We're not saying nobody's like too. When you miss this point, it means that we're not mattering, and we matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so in conclusion, we'll do that. First of all, we're going to have to use some of the sponsorship money to fix the Daley Thompson impersonator up, because I don't know what's going on.
I was going for a John Barnes today. It's still sticking. It ain't sticking no more.
Yeah, it's horrible, Curtis.
It is.
It's really bad. Yeah, it's really, really bad. So
go where you were last week.
That's where I was, and you told me it was sticking.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to move on from that subject, but before we move on from it, let's get some thoughts from the boss.
Hello, good afternoon. Hey, it's proper hot in here. I'm sorry, I'm sweating. I've got to calm down.
What's that Jamaican rag doing in our house?
Sorry, Eddie. Ranting.
Hey,
happy independence.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Grand Rising. People are really in support of Sideman. doing what he's doing. There's a lot of love on the comments on there. Elvis Brown has said, would the BBC broadcast the Jewish equivalent of the N-word? Sorry.
Never.
Ida says, how can we fight the institution if we keep leaving? Don't we need someone on the inside? Angela says they've opened the door to normalize the use of the N-word. And Trevor says, because we as Black people are not deemed important. And Angela Water says it's underlying institutional racism. Right. Just want to remind everybody, big up our sponsor, Jill Nichols. You might not be traveling now, but please in the future, bear her in mind. Like her page so you keep her up there. Also sponsored by Island Flavors, finest Caribbean takeaway food. I can vouch for that because I haven't cooked for Mr. Nestor for a little while.
Oh.
It's really helped me. And finally,
me too.
You love my
here, guys.
You love my vegan food, Eddie. Stop.
Are we starting why Black women are single already?
No.
Just checking.
Don't go there. Don't go there. We've got a new section where you can send any question you like to Angie, Curtis, or Eddie about the topics that we're talking about today.
I don't know about new
Hold on a minute. Remember, we've never had this before. We might not have it again. So please, if you've got a question for Eddie, Angie, or Curtis, the ACE team, please comment. Please start with the hashtag no joke so I can decipher which one the questions are. Please come with your questions. I'm looking forward to that. See you guys again in 20 minutes. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I think the show's being taken over, Curtis. I think that, we're being eased out. Apparently people are going to ask us questions. Now look, we're going to move on from that. Please keep your thoughts coming in. Like, share, comment. Again, you might not want to go on holiday now, but Jill is there. Please like her page, at least so that she can see that she's getting something back and for food delivered to South or East London. Check out Island Flavors. Right. Angela Marr shouted at me. It's been a tough week, but Angie didn't care. I phoned up every week and I said, well done, guys. I did. Well, my people, them told me they don't like the fact that it's too newsy. It's like your show. You're turning it into your radio show. We don't want your radio show. The people that listen to your radio show don't want your radio show. We want to talk about issues that affect us. If you look at your audience, I'm telling you how you told me, it's mostly women and you're not putting things in there for us. So why are so many Black women single? And when Angie suggested that, I did say to her, you may not get the answer that you want. Please give a comment right now. Get those in. The question, why are so many Black women single? Answers on the postcard. Please.
Can we also address the question as well, Eddie? It's not just why.
Okay, I'll do it. All right, hold on. Why are
beautiful, attractive,
many Black women single? Is that right?
Beautiful, attractive, hardworking women who are doing some fantastic things in the world. Some of them are my friends. I want to know why they are single today. So
why are Angela Marr's Black female friends single?
No. I want to know why you men are not stepping up to all these beautiful sisters out here who are single. Yeah.
How many of them are lesbians?
I didn't.
Good for you. Now.
I didn't. Did I ask? I said single in a relationship.
But do you mean single as in heterosexual Black women?
Hey guys, we're doing education in a minute, but let's answer the first question. Here it is. You men are not stepping up. So what does that suggest if I say you men are not stepping up?
No, the question is, why are so many Black women single? It's got nothing to do with me and Curtis.
I said, why are you men, right? So if I say men, why do you go?
Okay, Angie, let's start with you. Why do you think? Don't give me that. I warned you about that look 2 weeks ago. I'm not having it. I know what that look means. Freeze the frame. I know what that look means. Right. Why are so many Black women single, Angie?
This is the question that I'd like to find out too, because there's a lot of hardworking black women out there, a lot of young black women and older black women raising.
You ever hear a man say he want a woman because she's hardworking?
Sorry, can I just answer the question? My bad. Is that
let Angie talk, Eddie, please? Go on, Angie.
Jesus, take the wheel and the car and the van. Listen, I see so many women, right? So many of my friends as well, so many friends in the community who are working hard by themselves, who don't have relationships. And they're saying the men are not out there anymore. The men are not like the men that they used to be back in the day. You go to a club, you meet a guy and everything works out nicely. There are no great places to meet partners anymore. So we ask the question, why are they single? Why are our community not coming together? Where are all the good men?
That's not an answer. You've framed the question that I've asked you as another question. That's not an answer. Curtis, can we show her what an answer
just resolve this whole thing, please?
Yes.
Is that all right?
Yes.
If Jesus, Lord, take the wheel. Right. You remember a time, right, when women were proud to be in the home, in the workplace, raising the children and looking after their men. It was a long time ago. It was a dream time where our parents struggled through. It wasn't always flowers and roses. It was a fight every day just to raise us. Yeah? But a lot of them stayed together and went through the journey together. Now we have a society of people, Angie, Eddie, people who, if you say boo, they're throwing their toys out the pram. If you don't put sugar in their tea, it's a war. If you don't open a door, it's a war. Women were told, if we go back to Donna Roden, who sang a song, "Be Kind to My Man." And then we have Beyonce, "Everything you own is in a box." It's to the left. It's to the left. Yeah? Times changed and you felt it changing. From "Be Kind to My Man" to "Everything you own is in a box" to the left. Is that journey, that arc of womanhood. All right, they became strong, powerful, hardworking, beautiful, gorgeous, princess.
Okay, you see how God.
To be, and I got a perfect man on this planet. Nobody's going to be perfect. Every man has got flaws. Yeah, I'm going to say it. A lot of women don't want to hear it, but you got flaws too. You've got failings too. And until we all own our failings and realize how can we work within our failings, how can we improve together, rather than putting my stuff in a box to the left, help me find a space where I can live and exist.
It's sad that all your stuff could fit in one box. I'm sorry to hear that. But this is the issue, right? When we were growing up, right?
Let's be honest, I was being gracious.
His mic's not working. Clearly, the Lord is working.
Your mic's not working. Just hold on a minute, Curtis. Angie, respond if you can, please.
When we were growing up, right, our parents worked really hard on their relationships. They came over from the West Indies and they just worked hard to keep it together. They weren't looking at the relationship. They were looking at getting a home and making the right for their children. The individual things didn't seem to be important. As we've got older, as we came about, we've seen in society now that people want to talk about relationships, feminists, all those things start to interfere into our relationships and people change. A lot of black women are sometimes left holding the child. We're not going to deny that. So we got to ask that question, why some men can feel it fit to just walk away and never look back. Regardless of the situation, right, there is still a mother there looking after her child. There's a lot of women who are doing self-development on themselves as well, realizing that in order to cope, raising children by themselves, or even coping in society where they needed to lean on their partner, lean on them to be able to nourish and grow their children. Some of them have not been there. So women have been forced to become dependent. They've been forced to buy their homes by themselves and their cars by themselves. And some men have found that intimidating and pulled back from them. So the women have gone on and been without relationships. So it's not that they're angry or bitter and twisted, because those are the stereotypes.
Nobody said that, you know.
No, these are the stereotypes that we get as women, right? And sometimes from our own community, we'll put that on us like, oh, they're too miserable. I don't want to go out for a black woman. I go out for a white woman because a white woman makes me feel better and black women don't do this. woman, don't do that for me. There's so many layers to this as well.
It doesn't strengthen your argument to go everywhere. Do you mind if I help and put mine in? Because this is probably one subject that I can speak as freely as I want to.
Go on,
right?
then.
There are two things that worry me, right? The first thing is going to parties. When I was going to parties, I would stand up there and any independent black women who don't need no man, who's got their own, and that's what I saw. And I even then I didn't like it because it was saying, I don't want you, I don't need you, and now you ever got me. And that's the problem. That's one of the problems. But I can't characterize this as a problem just with women. And what I see now, which is going to lead us to our next subject, which is education, and why are so many black kids being excluded from school? What I see now is the black kid, the boy in particular, is the joker in the class, is the idiot in the class, has the best trainers. The young black girl, broad strokes, Angie, broad strokes, not everybody, is intelligent, articulate, and being pushed, goes on to do degrees, goes to university and expand. And what I'm seeing now and what I'm fearful of is a huge disconnect, particularly between the new black man and new black woman, where broad strokes, right? That she is moving her forward, I don't know, deputy head of finance for a local authority, and he's just fixing bigger cars. And in the end, the interest, the opportunity to learn, to grow, to develop, and financially, it's not going to be. So I see any kind of an emasculation going. So I think, we can joke, but there's an incredibly serious side to this.
It's very serious, and I think what you also need to remember is that when we were raving in the parties back then, we were raving in the dark, and you were pulling us to dance then, and it didn't matter. As we've gone on and music has changed, and you listen to songs like, you have to have a J-O-B if you want to be with me.
Yeah.
Those songs have gotten into people and started to make them feel empowered. And then you got single ladies, if you ain't going to put a ring on it, then you're not going to. So those things we started to hear and believe. So whilst we were being empowered by those songs, men were being detached from those songs. And now we are out of sync. And it has broken the family up in certain areas.
And so, is it wrong for a man to ask a woman to cook, to clean, to wash? Is that wrong? Is that not in their vocabulary anymore?
No, that's up to your arrange. That's in your individual relationship.
Because I've noticed there's a backlash. Let me talk.
If you only want a woman to wash, cook, and clean for you, then that's going to be a problem.
No. That wasn't my point. If you let me finish, I'll make my point. It's not my point, but you will find I cook, I clean, I do all of those things, and I'm a man, and I do all of those things because that's the way I was raised, right? But if you mention to a woman, cook something, it's like you're insulting her by actually saying that, when it is part of being in a relationship that who's there to do it, does it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
and suddenly I'm so independent, I don't have to do anything for you because I'm a woman, you should be doing for me. And that in itself is a lonely place to be. And then people bawling, why are black women single? Like men have to do on a regular. Look at the guy in the mirror. Look in the mirror a little bit and see why what you're giving off might not be appealing to the guy you're trying to attract. That's all I'm saying. Rather than blaming men and men are this and men are that, let's look at ourselves sometimes.
I don't know that it's coming across. I think it's a very honest and open, which is what we're doing on the platform. Three of us as big people now, we've moved from that young phase to we are now big people discussing what we see. And I want as many comments to come in. And I imagine there'll be people who are angry, but truth always makes people angry. That's one of the things, Angie, I think you'll agree has changed. There's somebody on here talking about the fact that, the normalization of language, working from our previous conversation in terms of the N-word, the normalization of things like baby mother and baby father is part of it because it becomes ingrained in your psyche. What say you to that, Angie?
That's it. Those are kind of stereotypes that people pick up on and hold on to use to degrade and insult. It's never to really empower. And it's sad that we own it and hold on to it, and not, the mother of my child, my baby father, my baby mother, and all those things as if it was some sort of scorn. Those are the things that we need to be looking at and addressing in our community and having value on the positions that we hold in our community. So if you're a father of a child, then you have a big responsibility. If you're a mother of a child, you have a big responsibility, because then that falls down into education, that falls down into community and how that child is raised. We've got a big picture here. You know, what Curtis said about, you know, men wanting food or having that old stereotype of where they were, how they were raised and what in a relationship. Those are communicational issues that you have to put in place for your partner to say, no, I'm not here to just, I'm not, just a second, Eddie, I'm just not here to cook and wash and cook for you. But I love cooking for my man. My man loves cooking for me. My husband loves cooking for me. I love cooking for my husband. You know, it's not
my father never cooked for my mother.
My dad cooked for my mother.
My dad was a big cook in the house.
My dad did.
Both my parents were great chefs.
Yeah, but they had a business, Curtis. They had to do that. That's
Mum had
what
the
they
business.
did.
Dad was the cook, and Dad was the better cook. And Mum's sitting right there now, and Dad was the better cook. I said it.
I'm waiting for the slipper to flash through.
Well deserved. Thanks, Mum.
Yvonne has just sent a message. I hope I'm not getting in the way of the boss here. Yvonne has just sent a message saying she'd be happy to cook for a man, but she ain't cooking because you tell her to cook. And that's the way it came across. It came across.
It's not telling.
I'm telling you the way it came across. That you came across that you're the caveman with a club.
That's what you wanted to hear with my broken down Wi-Fi. That's what you wanted to hear. All I'm saying is, sometimes you mention to a woman, oh, would you mind just ironing that for me? And it's a world war debate. Yeah? World war. And you're like, all right, give me, I'll do it myself. I'll do it myself because I can do it myself. But Eddie can't iron. You've seen his shirts he wears on a Sunday. If Lisa doesn't do it for him.
You think Lisa does what my mum did for my dad? Yeah, it couldn't
no
work.
way.
There's no way.
No way.
It couldn't work. It absolutely couldn't. First start, 5 days the woman didn't eat this week on some water diet, right? And I told her if it carries on the way at the BBC, she might have to get used to that. Where you flipping?
That might be a regular meal. Water. No. What's for dinner tonight? Water.
Guys, things have changed, right? Your dad didn't have a radio show. Things have changed. The workforce has changed. You know, you could be working from home. It's a very different working environment that we've got. My dad was run his own company, electrical wires. Now he goes to work from 7 o'clock and comes on at 7 o'clock in the night. Do you think my dad is coming home to cook at that time? No, he isn't. And when he did dish, my mum put meat in one plate, green banana in one plate, rice in another plate, salad. I used to think, I've got to wash all those plates. Why can't you just...
You're lucky at 5 plates. You show up.
Angie, you're lucky. You ain't like your friend. Let me just tell you one thing about black women, right? If you're a black woman or any woman listening to this broadcast today, from my heart, when you're talking to your friends who are giving you advice, don't take advice from how to keep your man to one of your friends who ain't had no man in 10 years. She can't help you. If she ain't had no man for 10 years, how's she going to give you constructive advice on how to keep your man? Right.
But they're the ones they listen to. They're the ones that listen. The most single one out of them is the cheerleader.
You don't need no man. You don't
need no man. What man can do for you?
Okay,
and you can always tell how long a woman's been single by the amount of cats she has and by the amount of soap operas she know the character's name, she know where the characters live, all Housewives of Atlanta, all of them shows that they sit down and watch and complain they can't meet a man. Get out of your house. Go walk around the park, go to the gym. Nightclub days, you're too old for the club. So go and socialize somewhere else. Turn off the telly for a minute.
All right. So Eddie and Curtis, right? So that's what you want to say to the women, right? What you've got to say to your men as well is upgrade, you know, lift yourself up, do some self-work as well. And that pot belly ain't cute. Those trousers that swing at the ankle, it ain't working. And that little round afro that you're wearing around your head and the little green thing sticking at your teeth.
Hold on a minute.
You're talking specifically about there's too many of them that apply to you, Curtis. That was to you. Anyway, we'll leave that one now. We're going to move on.
Hold on a minute, Angie. You see what you're doing there now?
So Eddie, what you can say to your men as well is when you're in a barbershop, Curtis, and whatever, stand up to your responsibility. Go back for some of your children. Go back to the woman and actually you for the wrong reason because you couldn't be.
Wow.
Her.
What men are you describing, Angie?
Some of the women that I've spoken to, when they tell me their men leave them, they haven't given a reason why they've left. After they've worked so hard to plan to do this together, and they just walk away because they want an easy life.
This is a coin. See it? All coins have two sides. You need to stop. And women should talk to some men. You can't talk to women about what's going on in a man's head. You got to talk to men so that you get around you.
That's why I said get some self-development classes so that you can communicate and talk.
The men, we ain't doing a show.
Every Sunday I come here and all I hear about is that guy that is the stereotype whatless guy. That's all I hear about. When you're saying your friends are single, are they making a decision that if he's got a pot belly or his trousers swinging around his ankles, they don't want him?
No, stop.
We all understand. We are not talking specifically or all men when we're talking like that. But what I'm saying is, right, where women are doing self-work, where they are doing the work on themselves, that's where men could also join in by doing some self-work and development so they can come back to communicate with the women that they think they can't talk to. Because men keep things to themselves and it's not helpful.
Because when we sorry, can we get the boss on now, please? We time to move on from this one. I thought this one was going to be fun, but it wasn't. Angie, stop. Look at her face. Have there been any comments at all on this one?
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. The comments have been as passionate as it's been in the studio. I'll read a couple for you. John Williams says, bitter single sisters deter good women from finding a suitable mister. Right. Dawn says, every captain run his ship different. Do what works for you as a couple. Nicola says, lots of beautiful black women watch their mothers and stated that kind of relationship isn't for them. Nicola says, the baby mother and the baby father routine has been normalized in our community. Jacqueline Harris says, because black men of a certain age, over 40, don't want black women their age group. They want younger women.
True.
And
yeah, okay. What's the matter with that?
And what's the problem there?
Well, the problem is that you're giving black women a hard time when actually you don't want those black women. So you might need to be honest about it.
You've copped out.
Comment. You've copped out. And Lady said, because so many women can do better by themselves.
Well, there you go. Get a t-shirt made of that one, darling.
Right.
I'm doing better by myself. Me and my cats. All six of them.
One woman said that, Curtis. So
one woman said that, and I'm trying to read comments from all different viewpoints.
Might I ask a question? You know, why are you getting involved in the conversation?
I'm not getting involved. I'm just reading the comments. A lot of the comments
talk about
why I've got my relationship. But just quickly before I go, please don't forget our biggest sponsor, Jill from Travel Counsellors. Please like her Facebook page. Look out for her when you travel in the future if you're not going to do that now. Also, Island Flavors, healthy Caribbean food. Don't forget to like, hashtag and share. Enjoy the rest of the day. See you next week.
Hold on a minute.
Sorry.
Before you go, can we, when we go back, do you mind? I have to be very careful how I speak. Do you mind, boss, if we go back to the 4 in the equal sizes, please?
No problem, my darling.
Gonna be silent in my house.
I don't want to be single.
So can you tell us if people have asked specifically any questions?
No, I'm a bit disappointed about that. You're never going to get the chance again. Maybe not. Please,
great.
Direct question to Curtis, Angie, or Eddie. Please hashtag no joke. I can put it up on the screen. It's not too late.
So before you go, I just have to get this down, right?
We can't hear you.
We are now,
is that him or
here now?
You all right,
Mrs.
Eddie? Could you say that again, please?
Now, I'm here. I'm saying Mrs. Nestor was supposed to be wearing her t-shirt, but the size 8 looks as though it's made for a giant because she's lost so much weight with the 5-day water foolishness. But
Wow.
I just want to tell you that we you know, and it's caused a lot of interesting conversations between the four of us. But I really don't, with all due respect to anybody who has been able to benefit from Just Giving or GoFundMe or whatever, I want us to be self-sufficient. I want this to continue after Angie's had a little break at the end of August. And the way that you can help us.
How you bring me in your business like that? Why do you do that?
Don't talk to me like that in front of people, Angie.
Why do you say, and Angie's had a break, like I've got to go and sit down in the corner and rock? With
your doll and your cat. Anyway, we have T-shirts now that we are going to be selling. Now, the thing about the T-shirts is it's another way of trying to get money in to keep this going. And, you know, lots of people talk to us about GoFundMe and doing this and doing that. The way that you buy 10 T-shirts, the way that you can help us, and we've got different styles, and I'll put them up on the Facebook page in a little while, but would really appreciate it because it is another way. We're truly grateful to Jill Nichols at Travel Counsellors and to Island Flavors, but to come back, to do it properly, and to help Curtis get a system that allows him to speak as his mouth is moving, and all of that is really, really important. We in fact, next week I'm going to try and get one that says "Let Angie talk," because that would be a great T-shirt to get, wouldn't it? So listen, thank you very much. There you go.
Yes, boss.
Look, she couldn't wear that one either. It's a size 8. Look at the size of it on her.
Stop it now.
Anyway,
there are many benefits to fasting, but we'll leave that alone.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. God bless you, boss. Look after
Bye-bye.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, so last week we promised that we would come to another of those generic subjects that we could pick up at any time. We've covered this on my show many, many times. We've talked to Robert Halford, who's on the education committees and MP, people like Cheryl Phoenix, who run something called the Black Child Agenda. I was in a forum, and there's a Black Governors Association. The truth is that there is an increasing number of Black children specifically being excluded from schools. There's an increasing number of Black children in particular who are going to what's called a PRU, Pupil Referral Unit. It is a recruiting ground for something called county lines, where people go to kids who don't look like they've got anything to do and give them money to move drugs around the country. We're in a problem. I want to talk to you about it because it might be something you're going through, and certainly something that I think the four of us know a lot about. And I would really like us to give it some time. Curtis, why do you think that so many Black kids are being excluded from school?
There's so many reasons. I've got friends who have young boys of a certain age, and it's their time now. And yeah, we know racism plays a part. I don't want to feel like I'm making excuses. There are children who have behavioral issues, them bad picnic, as we would say. But the system, it depends where you're living. If you're in a predominantly Black school, it's going to happen. Where it is an issue is when you're in a predominantly white school and there are 4 Black students and 2 of the Black students have been expelled for reasons that white students are not expelled for. All right. It's about men. I'll take this one on the chin as men being around those role models, helping out with family, even if it's not your child, your nephew, your cousin, your nieces. We've got to bring back a kind of community of family, a community of love. Teachers have got to take responsibility. Teachers try so hard, and I know a lot of fantastic teachers, but there are also some teachers who treat teaching like just picking up a check. It's not that kind of job. It is not that job. It is your a vocation, isn't it? It's if you have love in your heart for students, you're going to get more out of them. If you hate your students, you're going to try and expel them every chance you get. And I think that's a lot to do with how we, as parents, Black parents with Black children, how we engage with the education system. Are we involved in the school? Are we on the PTA? Are we turning up to meetings if you have parents in your lives? So I know the world is so complicated now. A lot of children are coming out of the care system. A lot of children are being fostered. A lot of children don't have a regular routine anymore. And this is where, as a community, we need to devise some way. And I know a lot of organizations are trying to work with young people, but we need to step that up, and we need to be more on it. The same way we're on things about the N-word. If a child's being expelled, we need to know why. We need to know the journey of that child before you just send them out into society, or, you know, on the streets rolling around on their bikes, and you're wondering where you're going. 12 o'clock at night, I'm seeing people rolling around on bikes, and they're like 7, 8, 9, you know, and it is horrible. But I'm that ignorant, I will actually pull them aside and say, where you going, what you're doing. And I won't tell you the expletives I've heard in some late night expletives, but we have to do more. We have to do more. There's no simple fix to this. As a community, we have to step up. That's the bottom end of it. We have to step up.
I think, Angie, for me, I remember going to school, and I remember Mr. Stansfield. I was a top 5 kid. And I remember him saying to me, when I told him I wanted to be a lawyer, Eddie, you should set your sights more realistically. Tell me about your path through education, because like all your paths, Angie, it wasn't necessarily a straightforward one, was it?
Not at all. And I think sometimes when we think about education, if you say to somebody, tell me about that special teacher, we can only normally say one teacher. And that's really poor, considering we pass through a good half a dozen teachers, if not more, and we can only recognize one teacher as being supportive. Now, my teacher, I will never forget Mr. Woodgate, at a young age recognized in me that I had this gift to perform, and he put me in young productions when I was at school, Lucian Bridge School, and I was really always inspired by that. I went to my secondary school, and I was one of those kids that was excluded. I was excluded from school, and at that time, the borough didn't want me because I was that annoying, I suppose. That
bad, Angie, bad.
Disruptive is the word I'm looking at. I was disruptive, and so there was Ross Howells and Sybil Phoenix from the Racial Equality Unity got me into a school, and fought to get me into a school, Blackie Bluecoats at the time, because
Baroness Roshouse.
That, yes, at the time she wasn't that, so she is that now, and so I respect that. So they worked hard to get me into a second school. Now, I'm dyslexic. I'm severely dyslexic. So when you used to bring books to me at school to read aloud, I would think, okay, I can't manage it. I didn't know what it was. I wasn't diagnosed till I left school. So when I start reading, or somebody would laugh at me, I think, you know what, wait till we get into the playground, you know, and that's really my anger. So what used to happen was I used to crack jokes to get kicked out. And I'd be outside my headmistress's office, and they'd be like, you out here again? I'm like, well, you know, that's where it goes. That's how it is with my little rude self, because the thing that was hurting me and disrupting me, I didn't know what it was. I just felt stupid. I felt like I couldn't keep up. But in my head, I felt intelligent. So there's a lot of kids today that are in that system whereby they can't manage themselves. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's making them react the way they're reacting. You know, teachers are not the same as they were back then. Some of them just do it because it's a job, as opposed to the natural urge to teach children. There are too few of that. And that colliding with kids who have got an issue, you're going to get problems. And to exclude a child right now should actually be somewhere borderline, the last stage where it's unbelievably unbearable for that child to function in school, because all you're doing is setting them up to fail. Lucky for me, my parents, my mum and dad, my mum had me cleaning skating boards, washing, cooking and cleaning in the house, and so I couldn't get out in the streets. Right now, these young kids, the minute they're open to that world, you talk about the drugs and all the trafficking that's happening right now, these are our kids that are happening. It's happening to. And I don't think we're jumping up enough. We're jumping up, like Curtis said, on words and the reaction to that. But these kids, if we don't catch them and nip them in the bud, we're coming to see them later in the prison system, going through a difficult time. Simple. So we want it to stop.
I think a lot that's happened with the education system now, it seems to be more about ticking boxes and hitting quotas rather than educating children. And sometimes it's easier to hit your target if you exclude 2 or 3 children that are bringing your numbers down or affecting how you're coming across with the rest of the governmental funding and whatever. And it really has had a knock-on effect. And people don't really realize that your school is being funded if they hit certain targets. And if there's a child or so, it's easier just to get rid of them and keep that kind of clean slate.
So listen, one of the criticisms that's come in of this show to me is that it's great as an opportunity to talk about things. Perhaps what we can do in and amongst that, if you don't mind, and we'll get the boss on because apparently we've got lots of questions. So we'll get her back on in a second, but to offer solutions. So on the first subject of the N word, I think whenever anything happens that you don't like, find out who you complain to and register your complaint, whether it be the BBC or whoever, whether it be to Ofcom, the information is out there. Register your opinion. On the subject of why are so many black women single, I think fundamentally we all have to take a moment, look at ourselves, find out what we want and actually what we're offering and be prepared to compromise and work. And on this subject, I've got to say, my parents came and my mum said to me, I send you to school to learn. And I've always had that in my head, but my mum didn't have the wherewithal, God bless her, sitting downstairs to go in and do all the other stuff. So this is what I've learned, and I'll try to pass this on to you. Notwithstanding anything that, Curtis and Angie have said, try to be part of the governors, try to be on the PTA, get your teacher's text number, tell them, text me, any problem, anything you see happening, text me, be part of the parents community in the WhatsApp group, be part of it so that if anything starts to happen, you're in a position to deal with it as opposed to being called in when it's at the end of the process. So hopefully I've summarized what we've said in a way that people can hopefully take forward. Now, look, before we get the boss on, I need some fun. So hold on. Arsenal. Last week, Arsenal won the FA Cup, right? And there's a guy that I've come to love. He's a big old lumpy fat so-and-so. Reminds me of you, Curtis. And here is how he celebrated an Arsenal victory. Let's go. He's about to have a heart attack. Angie, when is the last time you were that happy?
I don't think I've ever.
Take your time.
Have you ever been that happy? Angie?
I live in a place of quite happiness and peacefulness, so I'm actually always feeling quite good about myself. I don't express myself like on that level, no.
So you've never been that happy?
No, that's too much. I don't know. You'd have to give me a minute.
Never. The answer is she's never been that happy.
Curtis, when's the last time you've been that happy, brother man?
Last night.
Woo! Let's leave it there. Right. Yeah. We're going to end on emojis, but let's see if we can get a quick couple of questions in because Paul Lawrence starts at 2 and he's cussing me that we're eating into his time. Right. Boss lady, quick question. Let's go.
Okay, one each. Hello again. Eddie, this one's for you. Your thoughts on the music scene on the N word, using the N word from artists like Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
I do not like or approve of the N word. I don't think it's necessary. I don't believe, as I annoyed Angie with last week with censorship. So I will work with those people to try and explain to them. And like Richard Pryor and other people, they will come to an understanding of it at their own time. But I am sanctioning it at the BBC, and I'm not sanctioning it in any song. Good.
Curtis? In the real McCoy, I saw you perform a lot with Ishmael Thomas. What happened to that partnership? Are you still in contact with one another?
Wow. Okay. How long you got? Ishmael and I was in a double act, Curtis and Ishmael. He's one of my dearest friends. I have nothing but love for Ish. His daughter is 5 daughters. 3 of them are actresses. One's in Tattoo Fixers. That's Ishmael's daughter. And Danielle, who I'm very much in touch with, but I haven't been in touch with Ishmael for a number of years. Ishmael had his own little journey, addiction and stuff like that going on. It's his story to tell, but he's good. And I find out through his children that he's looking good and being. So
it's a classy.
Pray for him every day.
Fantastic. Last one for Angie.
Why are you so angry?
Who, me?
Oh, sorry. No.
Angie. No, that's not the question. Well, there's 2 quick ones for Angie. One which is quite funny.
Why 2? 1?
Come on. I like the 2 questions. Angie, 2 quick ones. Do you think the panel there would benefit from another woman? And do your single friends approach men? And if they do, what happens? If not, why not?
That's about 8 questions.
We can always have needs more support from women. So yes, on that one. And many of my friends have approached men, and men have found that quite attractive when a woman wants to step up and say, listen, I like you. I'd like to go out, take you out. Men find that quite attractive. So yes, it does work as well.
Great. Loving the questions. I think, Eddie, we should continue this for next week because we had loads of questions coming in. I think they might get even more personal. Anyway, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Press the button and go, please.
She don't leave, boy.
She's trying to take over. Did you not hear that? Do you hear the question? Don't you think you benefit from having another woman on the panel? What do you think that means, Curtis?
That means she'll be there next week for longer.
That's exactly
what the public wanted.
Right. Very quickly, I know it's silly, but I got pulled up this week for not having a black emoji. And 3 weeks ago, a white mate sent me a message with a black emoji. So I'm a little confused. Curtis.
Yes.
Have you colored your emojis?
Yes, I have. I've worked out how to do it after you told me about them. And one of my dear friends, and Andy McCall, and big shout out to Andy. They're doing it on a regular. So I want to thank all the DJs that kept me going through COVID. But when you watch the DJs online, everybody's throwing up these different fantastic emojis. So I got one now with a hat, and he does this. But he's black. I want to get a Chinese one as well, or a Jewish one.
Let it go.
Did you guys really find that out? Did you just find out about the black emojis? Really?
Why do you answer questions with questions, Angie?
I can't believe that you just found. I'm not judging you. I'm just surprised that somebody.
Well, it sounds like you're judging us and calling us stupid.
That's it. You're disappointed in us.
Okay.
Have you got black emojis, Angie? Have you got them with different hairstyles?
I don't know how to use them. What did he say?
I said, no, leave it, Curtis.
Can you not get Wi-Fi? What did you say?
We've got to fix the Wi-Fi. I said, have you got emojis with different hairstyles?
No, I haven't. And that's a stupid question.
Okay. I love you, Angie. I love you. I want to say, can I say, as we get to the end of the show, can I say thank you to both of you? We've had some interesting exchanges. When is enough enough? And when is too much too much? And what do you do? I value your opinion. I valued your support this week. I want to say that publicly because it's meant a lot to me. So both of you, thank you so much. It's been another fantastic one. Hard. Angie hasn't finished anything because Curtis wouldn't let her again. But we're working on that, everybody. Curtis, look after yourself, mate. God bless you, and thanks very much.
And can we just say for next week, could Angie turn her stereo down? Because she's had feedback the whole show and nobody pulls her up on it. I get a little flicky. Everybody's on me about my Wi-Fi.
You got issues, bruv. You need to go and start dealing with them. Go and get the Jack Daniels. Get the Jack Daniels. Look, he's got up. Angie, God bless you. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Well, technically, that was the most difficult one. We'll have to see what we can do about it. So apologies if that's interrupted your enjoyment. The hair issue will come up, but I just reason that we were in the education, we were in the N word, and we were in the listen. If there's subjects that you think we should be talking about, then inbox me. But really, thank you very much to Jill at Travel Counselors. She's come in. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be on air right now. So the one thing I'm asking you to do in respect to her, just go and like her page, please. That's all, so that she can see, based on sponsoring this, these number of people have liked her page. Thank you very much to Island Flavors. They deliver to anywhere in South or East London. Truly appreciated your contribution. Thank you very much to the boss. But really, the way that you can help us to come back after the end of August is to order your No Joke t-shirt. So I'm going to put them up on the Facebook page in a little while. We've got this one, but we've got lots of different styles, different sizes, and the like. They're £15. So if you buy a t-shirt for £15, then we get a contribution. We're able to put that to getting the technicals right and sorting ourselves out. God bless you. I hope you have an absolutely brilliant week. I hope that you found the podcast cathartic, helpful, funny. Paul's on now. You'll hear Mastermind from 4 o'clock, and I'll be back here with a brandy 7 o'clock with Fun Day Sunday. God bless you. Please look after yourselves. Take care.